Now, today's guest is a Friday Fuel Up first. Deane is simultaneously a professional athlete in two different sports, both skiing and mountain biking. Now, in addition to being an international champion, Casey has also recently added screenwriting and acting to his list of passions and pursuits. Now, his most recent film, A Cowboy's Boys, which he wrote and stars in, was recently selected by New York Short's International Film Festival. We have so much to talk about with Casey. I'm so excited to have him on the show. Let me bring him on. All right, Casey, awesome. Thanks so much for joining me on the show today. This is the season finale of Friday Fuel Up, so I'm really happy to have you on the finale.
Yeah, stoked to be here. I didn't realize I was coming in the finale.
Yeah, we had to, like any good show, we had to bring in the big guns for the season finale because we've had a variety of professional athletes on the show, but we've never had anybody who's simultaneously a professional athlete in two sports, a la Deion Sanders. So very nice to have you on.
Yeah, thank you. And Bo Jackson.
That's right, and Bo Jackson.
I feel like I'm in good company.
Yeah, probably some of the best. The so one of the things I was wondering about, kind of talking about this dual pro sports, was how you transitioned to mountain biking professionally. So, there's so many people who are really good at one thing, recreationally do some other things, right? But how did you make the jump to pro mountain biking? And then what was the drive that you said, I don't just want to do this, but I want to do this at the highest level?
Well, it's kind of a combo, but I grew up mountain biking and racing motocross, and I raced cross country mountain bikes. So I mean, I had like bike handling skills.
Mm-hmm.
And then I quit riding mountain bikes when I was 18, and then by that time I was racing motocross, and I started racing professionally when I was 18, I guess. And so I mean, I feel like gave me the cheat codes as it was. And then in 2012, I went to Rampage, which is one of the biggest free ride contests in the world and the biggest mountain bike event in the world, I would say. And also probably the gnarliest, like the most extreme or what have you. And when I went, I just saw what was going on, and I thought, I have to do this. I have to be doing this.
Question about performance and recovery. Because being someone who is a professional athlete in two sports, that you're constantly pushing your body, and thus you constantly need to be recovering and be fueling your body. And so I was just wondering, how do you think about nutrition and fueling yourself for success and to fuel yourself so you can perform at your best?
But it's funny because if you asked me this 10 years ago, we would be having a very different conversation. And especially 15 years ago, I'd probably be eating fast food and drinking like soda. Especially, well, 15 for sure. But now, I mean, it really it's evolved over probably the last 10 years, uh, especially. But even like that 10 to 15 window is when I really started kind of like messing with it, because I noticed that because I was training for motocross, but I also was trying to recover faster
Yeah.
so that I could do more. And I think that it's a balance of things. One, it's patience in recovering, because for me, I'm always somebody who, if I could work out 7 days a week and do activities or sports 7 days a week, I would. But
Yeah.
eventually, my body just shuts down, and so that's when food comes in, and that's where the fuel is really important. And so for me, that's when I really got into it, was when I started counting my macronutrients.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that out of just sheer boredom for one, but also curiosity. Um, but a friend of mine we were talking about recovering one time, and he's a surfer from Hawaii, and he surfs all the time, and he's always training CrossFit. And he asked what my macros were, and I had no clue what he was talking about. And this was maybe like 5, 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, bro, you don't even know what you're doing, man. It's just like trying to get somewhere without a map. And I had no clue what he was talking about until he laid it out. And so I went through my macronutrients and I went through what I was eating. And I realized that I wasn't recovering fast enough because I was eating like 60, 70% fat.
Hmm.
I wasn't on a keto diet. So it was not a good combination. And
You're
that's
kind
actually,
of in like nutritional no man's land there at 60% calories from fat.
yeah, it's like you're
Yeah.
clueless. You have no clue what's going on. And I thought I was eating like really good, and I was actually eating a lot of nuts, but I
Hmm.
was not eating pistachios. I was eating a lot of cashews, and so I'm eating all these nuts. I'm eating like a healthy diet per se. And what I realized is that I was like completely off base. I was like so far from having the right amount of protein in my diet. And then I started figuring out what worked best. And that's actually what led me to eating so many pistachios because pistachios are a main source of my diet.
Hmm.
And so I started going through and balancing all my macros. And I had heard this from my friend in Hawaii, and he said, when I am hitting my macros perfectly. And for those that don't know, which I didn't, the macronutrients are basically fat, protein, and carbohydrates. And if you just imagine a pie chart, right? It's just the percentage. And so you want to always have 30% fat in your diet. Because if you go lower than that, it's going to mess with your hormones. So your base is 30% fat. And then it's a rotating scale. I mean, some people, I do really good on 50% protein and then the rest carbohydrates. So
Hmm.
like a 50-20 split,
Yep.
you know. And so, but some people need way more carbohydrates. So my friend though, he said when I am hitting my macros and I'm not off eating quesadillas and eating hamburgers and stuff, he said I can recover so fast. I feel like I would what I would imagine somebody being on steroids, where I can recover. I can go surf for like 4 or 6 hours a day, hit a CrossFit workout, and do it again the next day. And I did that. I started hitting my macros, and my recovery just jumped.
Yep.
I was surfing like 2, 3 hours in the morning, and then I would come back. And at the time, I was really into um, doing like Navy SEAL workout type stuff of doing like the burpee challenges. So
Yep.
I'd do like Navy SEAL burpees and get in like anywhere between 500 to like 1,200 push-ups, and then 500 air squats and do a straight run like that for maybe an hour and a half,
Yeah.
and go for a bike ride later. And so my recovery just completely changed. And I realized that the reason that I had been struggling in the past in my career on certain trips, for instance, going to Alaska, sitting inside, having a poor diet, and then when it goes clear after like a week of eating shitty food and everybody's drinking, like whatever beer and stuff like that,
Yep.
that all of that was just really detrimental to my performance as an athlete. And then also when I'm on trips internationally and my diet would go downhill because you're kind of like forced into eating on the road, that's where like my challenges were coming then. And it's
Hmm.
cool because the diet basically my cross sect of like when things really peaked in my career, I feel like was probably 4 to 5 years ago when I started figuring all that out and counting, figuring my diet out, and then in turn figuring out my body and getting stronger.
So I think I thank you for sharing kind of that your journey there because I think it's so interesting to hear that, and especially your initial comment was if you would have said what you ate 10 to 15 years ago, it would be totally different now, because I find that so many athletes don't appreciate the value of nutrition early on because I don't know, they just have like this youthful recovery about them, right? Which makes everything more forgiving. But that it's really interesting now to hear that you felt like you were peaking starting about 4 years ago when you really started to dial in your nutrition. Because I agree, I think nutrition is the most underrated cheat code there is from a performance perspective, and to go from not paying attention to your nutrition to paying attention to your nutrition, it's a total game changer.
Yeah, I mean, if there was probably one thing that I could do over in life or in my career was to start that earlier.
Yeah.
Because I mean, literally at the beginning of my career, I when I was 21 or whatever, I mean, I'm like, I would go and I would get like, I don't know how much Taco Bell and the biggest Mountain Dew that I could drink. And I just like didn't understand why I couldn't like manage like my weight very well and I didn't feel very good.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. No,
Go.
that's well, I'm glad that you found the path and and are able to kind of count and balance your macronutrients, and then that's supporting your performance, especially like talking about the workouts that you're doing, which were kind of independent of just, the professional skiing and mountain biking too. So you definitely gotta fuel your lifestyle properly. So that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, that's clutch.
So let's get into the pistachio shelling challenge. So you got a bowl of pistachios. The rules are very simple. I'm gonna put 30 seconds on the clock. You're gonna shell as many pistachios as you can in 30 seconds. Whoever shells the most wins. If you beat me, you win a year's supply of pistachios. And
What? Oh
I
my
know,
gosh.
yes, and I know. Well, too. What I know that you seem like you're very competitive, and I also just want to say, last show was my all time best. So my kids have been razzing me about it, so I had to set my game up. So we'll put 30 seconds on the clock and go.
Oh my gosh. Do you have to you have to get them all? Do you have to separate the shells?
No, you just gotta open them. Yeah, well, you gotta get the nut out. The key is picking ones that are easy to open. I'll give you that secret halfway through. 10
I
seconds to
literally
go.
thought about prepping this, but I was like, no, I'm just taking chance.
1 second. Time's up.
Oh,
Oh man, I think for the season finale, I don't know if. All right, count them up here.
I've got 9.
9,
I was
17.
literally going as fast as I could.
I
You
got.
did 17?
I did 17. I will say, in,
God,
in,
you're a maniac.
in my defense, I've been practicing this and working on this for a year.
You have
So,
this, but that is still crazy.
so I will say that even though you did not win this challenge, I think that the folks at the American Pistachio Growers appreciate or will appreciate how pistachios are part of your diet and help fuel you. So I'm sure we could still get you a year's supply of
That
pistachios to help fuel you
yeah.
in the mountains, whether they be covered in snow or rocks and dirt. Um, so I really appreciate you coming on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation. I think we covered kind of a whole spectrum of topics, and it was really great to hear the nutrition stories, but also just how you're navigating these transitions and becoming world class at so many different things, and your thought process behind that. So I really appreciate that. Thanks for coming on. And
Yeah.
for everybody who's been tuning in all year, as I mentioned, this is the season finale of season 1 of Friday Fuel Up. So thank you so much for tuning in first Friday of every month live at the American Pistachio Growers Facebook page. I want to thank the American Pistachio Growers for being such a great sponsor for season 1, and we'll see you guys back for season 2.